All right, here we go. Following the reinstatement decision agreed on by the National Hockey League and the National Hockey League Players Association, goaltender Carter Hart will be joining the Vegas Golden Knights organization. The Golden Knights are aligned with the process and assessment the NHL and NHLPA made in their decision. We remain committed to the core values that have defined our organization from its inception and expect that our players will continue to meet these standards moving forward.
Okay. So what are the core values?
What?
The core values, the ones that you said you're committed to and you want the players to be committed to, what are they?
Win, I guess.
Right. Anything else?
Murder is bad?
Good. Glad we found that line. Are you sure you want to do this?
Oh, I have an excellent PR team.
Not helping. I mean, are you sure that you want to prioritize success over things like dignity, morality? One might argue your very soul.
Well, yeah. I'm from Vegas.
Yeah. Somehow that's a really good point. Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team, that is not a dub. Not a dub. I have to try to be as quiet as possible. It is 1:11 a.m. Eastern time, and the Bruins are coming off a fairly zany, wacky, absurd game that, again, I can't backtrack the comments of if they're going to give this kind of energy, if they're not going to quit on games, if they're yada yada yada, all the stuff that I've previously said here and on the Short Shift Pod. Like, comment, subscribe, nailed it. I mean, I'm not just going to go back on that. It is sometimes difficult during these games when you get really frustrated with stuff and you want to get bitter about it, but I'm still very optimistic about how this is going, and I understand why some might not be, because some kind of feel that this needs a full rebuild, all that kind of stuff. But this is another game where they just didn't quit. They continue to skate. Yeah, they got outclassed skill-wise in a lot of areas, and there was a lot of self-inflicted damage, a lot of silliness. But at the end of the day, this team still looks way better than I expected to, oddly enough. The fact that they scored 5 goals was absurd, with the top 6 looking the way they did for a large majority of the game. But we're going to talk about a couple of things real quick. First of all, our opponent, the Vegas Golden Knights, came into this game 2-0-2. They have allowed the first goal of every game so far that would include this game. Spoiler alert. And they have vastly more scoring talent than we do. No one's going to argue with me about that, or at least no one realistically would. Noah Hannafin continues to be day-to-day, although they haven't really said exactly what's going on with him. Aiden Hill is supposedly okay. He backed up for this game after having to leave last game early, but Akira Schmid would get the start in this one, even though he played half of the previous one. Whatever. Akira Schmid had actually been really good through a couple of starts coming into this one, but the real news with this Vegas team, and something that I'm going to quickly comment on, because I do like this channel to be about hockey, and this starts to bleed into other stuff here. I've been very vocal about my thoughts, probably more in the Short Shift Pod than I have here, about the Carter Hart situation, and along with a couple other players, things of that nature. Look, you can have your opinions. Everyone's going to have them. If you're having an opinion and you didn't actually follow along with the case, and no, I don't mean Twitter or YouTube or TikTok. I mean, actually looked at what was involved in the case. Shut up for your own sake, I guess, would be my advice there. And secondly, for me personally, after reviewing details of the case, yeah, Carter Hart's an absolute no for me. It's very obvious to me that he was involved in something that crosses a lot of lines for me, I would assume for many, and I've been very vocal about the NHL being a privilege, not a right. When people want to talk about second chances, yeah, a second chance to live a normal life like the rest of us, but to play in on the greatest stage in the world and make millions playing a kids game, No, that's not a second chance. That's privilege. And yeah, I'm a long way from thinking that Carter Hart deserves that. I'm no fucking officer about it. Like, he's going to do what he's going to do. The league's going to do what they're going to do. But if this sits well with you, then you must firmly believe this guy did absolutely nothing wrong. And if it doesn't sit well with you, yeah, I get it. I get why. So I'm not going to respond to any comment that includes Carter Hart, positive or negative. I'm not going to get involved in the debate about it. All the information is out there for you to find on your own. Again, not from social media, but from actually following the case. And yeah, pretty easy decision for me to be like, oh, your guys are going to be pieces of shit about it. So that's why the skit is what it was, which is not me making light of the situation, although I thought it was kind of funny. I don't know. Let's talk about the Bruins and this lineup, shall we? So we are actually, the lines are going to get shaken up in the beginning of the game and throughout, actually. So we're going to start with the usual: Geeky, Lindholm, Pasta, Zaka, Middlestat, Arvidsson, Jeannot, Minton, Asamont. But at the bottom, we're going to get VL, Corrali, and Kostelik. Who's Nadinov's going to take a seat? Marco Sturm, I almost said Monty. Marco Sturm said that he wanted a heavier lineup. That scares the shit out of me, because almost every time I hear a coach go, well, we wanted to play the matchup, have a heavier lineup for this one, it like never goes well. But I thought the fourth line was really good, so I was just concerned to start. Lohrei, McAvoy, Harris, Peak, Zadorov, Yoki Haru, and then Swayman in net. Of course, Hampus is still day-to-day, but he is skating with the team, and I believe fully he was not in a non-contact sweater by the last report that I saw. That's it. That's the whole pregame. We have so much to talk about in this game, and it's so late at night. And I have like a work event I have to go to tomorrow, and I had to order the food for it. They ordered sushi. Who orders sushi for a work event, dude? What? Bizarre. And sorry, I had to get that off my chest. Puck drops. Puck drops. 2:05 in, and this team is going to get me all jazzed up immediately, because we've already given up a 2-on-1, because that's just Bruins hockey right now. I actually saw someone tweet about how they're so surprised that we keep giving up a lot of odd man rushes the other way. And I don't think many of us should be surprised about that. This team is very reliant on its defensemen, and will be reliant on its defensemen in the offensive zone. It is really difficult for the forwards to set up a proper triangle and not have to utilize the defensemen. And so pinches and forward movement from our defense is part of our DNA right now, which does mean a bad bounce or a good play by a defenseman is going to be a fast break fairly often. Because remember, it doesn't always take, say, Peak, who was involved in this, it doesn't take Peak technically making a bad play here. Although I didn't like this. He misread a situation. His momentum or his movement just has to be forward. His weight just has to be forward for a 2-on-1 to go the other way if he doesn't react quick enough. It isn't always about a bad pinch. Sometimes it's literally he was prepared for a play that didn't come to fruition, and his weight was just shifted forward. To get up to speed the other way is not a small task against a team like Vegas with the speed that they have. But the reason I got all jazzed up is because we do take care of that 2-on-1. And we go back the other way, puck gets dumped in deep. 3 Golden Knights are closer to this puck on the initial dump in, but Jeannot is going to sprint past all of them, push the puck behind the net to Asamont, who makes a perfect pass off the wall. It wasn't just skirting up the wall, it was off the wall with a little bounce out to McAvoy, who's on the right side of that right circle. And because the way that pass was put together and he didn't have to fish it off the wall, he very quickly got to turn this into a shooting opportunity, gets it on net. Jeannot went to the net front. Akira Schmid does not handle the rebound well, and Jeannot gets to tap it in. We are not even 3 minutes in, and the Bruins are up 1-0. And on a team that I still expect to struggle to score, although that hasn't really come to fruition much this year, every goal is worth its weight in gold. And the excitement part is you're playing with a lead. This team, to win games, shocking, will need to play with a lead more often than not and trust their defense to hold that lead. We couldn't. A minute and 30 seconds later, the excitement kind of gets crushed because, and I apologize if any of this video comes off grumpy, because I took a nap before this game for like 2 hours, and it was one of those naps that you wake up feeling worse than when you went to sleep. You all know what I'm talking about. Harris pinches into the offensive zone to get the puck deeper, which was the right play at the time, but Vegas collects it quickly off the punch-in. Arvidsson covered on back on the left side, but tries to back skate. And when the pass from Marner up to Dorofeyev on that far side goes, Arvidsson has to pivot and turn, and he loses his balance. So it turns into a Dorofeyev breakaway, and from that right circle, he makes no mistake, beats Swayman low blocker, and it's 1-1. Just like that. So it's a clean, fresh game. Fine, whatever. It was just exciting to play with a lead for a second. 3:16 left. So the first period kind of flew by. Not a ton to talk about in the middle of there, but a strong forechecking shift from the fourth line, who was excellent in this game. They go low to high, which is a phrase that I want to point out that we should be saying a lot. In the same way that I just said the defense is going to be involved a lot in this game, low to high, low being on the goal line of the offensive zone, high being up by the points for the defense, for those of you who don't follow the terminology as often, is going to be a huge part of this team. Because, again, setting up a triangle with just our three forwards is going to be difficult because of the lack of speed and skill. Sounds insulting. It's just the honest truth. So they're going to utilize those points a lot. And those points are then going to hammer the puck on net over and over and over again, which is going to be awkward at times. But other times, it's going to lead to plays like this, where Zadorov from the left point, first of all, it goes up to Jokiharju, I believe, first, and then it's going to go over to Zadorov. Corrali won the board battle to do this. Zadorov's going to launch it from the left point. It's going to go off a defenseman and pass to Kira Schmid. Those are the kind of bounces you're looking for. But also, the defenseman's there because he's fighting who I believe was VL at the net front. You put pressure at the net front, you screen the goalie, bounces happen, or maybe that puck drops dead off a defenseman right in front of VL and he gets a great chance as well. Those plays aren't, they're low likelihood to score often. If you rely on them too much and don't have that skill and speed to capitalize on transition goals and things like that, yeah, your team isn't going to be considered high-powered offensively. But there are going to be stretches of play where you're able to put some pucks in the net because of that physicality and that kind of game plan. And that's what the Bruins are trying to create here. And it works on this one. So we go up 2-1. This is just a very meat and potato kind of way to score. Forecheck, get it to the point, rip it on the net. So 1:27 left, which is just about 2 minutes later. I'm desperately hoping we get into the intermission with a lead. It just changes the mindset as you get that little break and you go, okay, we're playing with lead. This is the plan, everything. Unfortunately, the Golden Knights do have something to give back here. They put us back in our zone again, which they did often. The third line gets pinned in badly, and the puck gets worked up to Hutton on the left point. Minton attacks. Hutton is going to hammer this to the net, but it gets blocked halfway there and bounces back out to the top of the slot, middle of the blue line area. This is where the first mistake happens, and Brick did point this out and harped on it a little bit. I don't think he was wrong for doing this. Fraser Minton, when he goes after Hutton on that point, after Hutton takes a shot, he curls towards the wall, which does take him completely out of the play. Now, if that shot gets batted away and ends up on a Bruins stick on that side of the ice, then Minton is prepared for a breakout quicker than he would be. That's not worth the lack of defensive coverage you get from that, and it results in Hutton being able to skate back over to the top of the slot, the middle of the blue line area, collect his own rebound off the block, and fire it again. Now, Fraser Minton's completely out of the play, never gets a chance to stop any of that. Here's where the second mistake happens. Something that Brick doesn't point out, which I'm like, okay, this play has two big people that are part of it. That second shot from Hutton hits Swayman somewhere around the crest area on the right side. And it is launched back out directly up the slot. That's an awful rebound to give up. A terrible one. And Reinhart, not the one you're thinking of, is able to step in, collect that puck, and hammer it back on net and beat Swayman as he's trying to recover from that original shot. It is 2-2. That is just a bad... I'm more... it's not fair. Maybe it is fair. I'm more mad at Swayman here. This is unfair expectations. We kind of need him to be as close to perfect as possible to compete with high-end teams. He was not that in this game. He wasn't as bad as 6 goals against. The defense really let him down in a few spots, but he was also responsible in a way for some of these goals. And if we had gotten, it didn't even have to be the same as his previous 2 starts, but just a good start from him. This is a very different game. But we're going to go to the second period tied 2-2. I still feel great because this is a team that is going to be hard to beat, and I just want to see how the Bruins can compete with it. Then the wheels are going to fall off a little bit. 4:14 into the second. The Bruins are getting caved. Defensive zone turnovers are getting more frequent. Slow decision-making is starting to really kind of piss me off. And then this play, it's just a meat and potatoes one, which kind of weirdly pissed me off more. They dump the puck back in after a clear, or I actually don't even think we got the clear here. They just get the puck deep behind the net. Stone wins the race to his own deflection. That's what it was. We did get the clear. Stone deflected it down behind the net. He wins the race to get there. He's about to get lit the fuck up by McAvoy, but takes a hit to make a play. He's going to skitter that puck up through the slot. Unfortunately, Elias isn't covering anyone. He's just standing kind of in front of Swayman watching this play happen. Geeky is over on the right side. He played this dump in expecting the Bruins to win the puck and work the puck back up the wall rather than staying tight in a defensive formation. I understand the logic, but we're expecting the best case scenario each time, and it's kind of biting us in the ass. Because this puck gets to Eichel at the mid-top of the slot. I have these pictures to give you guys a better idea. And Geeky is able to recover enough to get his stick there, but that leads to a knuckle puck that actually flutters its way over Swayman and into the net. I'm realizing now that I took a picture of what I don't think was Eichel's shot, but how it fluttered over his shoulder. Still making it work with these pictures. The people requested them, and I'm trying to make it work. So it's 3-2, which is a bummer. Not the end of the world, but it's not how you want to start the second period. And then 30 seconds later, Elias, with a defenseman on his back, flies around the back of Schmidt's net, and it looks like we're about to tie it. He's going too fast to swing this into the short side, but he is Geeky mostly alone at the net front. Gets the puck to him. Schmidt looks like he's going to struggle to get across the net. He makes the save. He gets just enough of his leg out there to stop Geeky. I think this is a big moment for Sturm where he went, okay, Geeky's not capitalizing on any of these chances. We might make some changes. We'll get into that later. 5:27 in. Elias is going to go for a high sticky, and we're going to the penalty kill. 1 minute later, Vegas gets set up, works the puck below the net. Mark Stone will have it. He'll skate to the glove side, still behind the net, and 3 of the penalty killers collapse, and they're right there. Ferocious. And then Stone's just going to be like, oh, and he's going to back around to the other side. So now he's on the blocker side, right? Still behind the net. And all 3 defensemen, or penalty killers, I should say, move about 5-6 feet away from Swayman, opening a very clear lane with 5 feet of fucking space to Dorofeyev, who's at the bottom of that right circle, or the right circle, and he is going to lay a perfect shot. I mean, this is as close as you can get to near side top corner without getting posted out, basically. Swayman makes a brilliant save with the shoulder, but the puck rolls over him, lands behind him. Hurdle dives in, pokes it into the net. It's 4-2 on a power play goal. I don't want to get too upset at the penalty kill because the penalty kill has been really good so far this season, and it's going to have some big moments in this game. But I would be doing a disservice to not point out they ran this play fucking twice in the same result. Guy behind the net goes to one side, everyone collapses, goes to the other side, everyone backs up, and whips it across to Dorofeyev, who laid the same shot. The first time, it also bounced over the shoulder, just this time we were lucky enough to clear it out of the crease. They did the same thing twice, and it worked the second time. Learn! Learn! Penalty kill has been really good. I don't want to be too upset about it, but that was really aggravating. 6:16 in, Lauzon's going to go for holding, and it's a huge response goal. After Geeky whiffs on a shot that is off a rebound, and again we just went, dude, please. He recollects the puck, sees that he has a forest of legs, but he thinks he's a passing lane to Pasternak, who's in that left circle, back diagonal across the slot. And he finds him. Great pass. Gets to him. And Pasta does that little move where he fakes shot. Couple of guys overcommit. Gets further into the slot and rips it. Low blocker. Ends up squeaking through Akira Schmid. And it's 4-3 power play goal. And then 3 minutes later, it's more pressure from the Bees. But Asamont commits a cross-checking penalty in the O zone. And so we're going to do the penalty kill. And then 30 seconds into that penalty kill. By the way, still only midway through the second period, and we're almost at 20 minutes. This is a lot with this game. 30 seconds into that penalty kill, Zaka takes a 4-minute double minor for high sticking. It's going to be 5v3 for 90 seconds. And then it'll be another 150 seconds of 5v4 if they could even get that far. They kill the 5v3, largely due to Zadorov and Swayman. Then they kill the next 30 seconds to get down to the 2-minute mark, so even if you do allow a goal, that ends the power play for them. And then they kill off the other 2 minutes. When I talk about, I mean, the 5-on-3 by far the gutsiest of this. But when I talk about a gutsy penalty kill and just doing what it takes to get inside lanes and make sure your goaltender is supported and trying to prevent the easy stuff, which is impossible on 5-on-3, and watching the way that the Golden Knights move the puck and keep moving the puck and moving bodies. I mean, it was an incredible kill. It was an incredible kill, keeping it a 1-goal game. And then, after all that's done, about 3-4 minutes after all of that, Korzak's going to go for holding. Interference. 3:10 left of the period. It's a 1-goal game, second period. We're going to the power play. After you killed a 5-on-3, you have fought to stay in this game. And this is the first power play of the season that you decide movement is bullshit. And they stood around. They passed back and forth. And easy intercept here and clear. Bad shot angle there and clear. Second unit comes out. Middlestat on the right side. And Middlestat, with just a boneheaded, stupid play, passes directly into the slot, tape to Stone. Carlson, Stone. Which one got the first interception? Hold on, I'm looking at my notes here. He passes this to Carlson, who, to Stone. It's late. To Stone. Stone is going to pass it to Carlson, who's going to skate down the left side. It's a 2-on-1. And both McAvoy and Pasta decide that they need to go after Carlson, which leads to an easy pass to Stone on the right side of the slot. Stone is going to shoot blocker side. It's going to go post and out and fall behind Swayman. McAvoy decided that once that pass already got to Stone, better bail on Carlson. What that results in is Carlson is wide open to tap in the rebound. I mean, at a certain point, can we think one step ahead? You're already beat. Stone's already getting that pass off, that shot off easily. Stay on your man and make sure that your goaltender is supported if he comes up with this save. Because at that point, and this is something that I think a few of our defensemen are very bad at, and it sucks when McAvoy makes this kind of mistake, because at a certain point, you get into a situation where you go, all right, the defense broke. I have to trust my goaltender to make a save. I can't allow this to get in if he makes that save. That's my job now. And we are bad at that. We just are. Because way too often, McAvoy and Lorai, Yogi Haru does this, Peak does this. I actually don't feel like Zadorov has done this a bunch. But the 4 guys I mentioned, they'll prioritize just chasing the play. And it results in a guy being open for a tap-in after the fact. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. A shorthanded goal, 5-on-3, after your team clawed and fought to stay in it. And all of the wind, all of the momentum just gone. As the PK ends for the Golden Knights, the Bruins do give up the puck. And it's a breakaway for Korzak, who's coming out of the box, but Swayman is able to make the stop. We're going to the third period. We're down by 2 goals. We're still kind of in it. I don't feel terrible. Like, okay, like, this is another bout of adversity. Like, let's see it. And 1:02 into the period, McAvoy's going to go for high sticking. And it's just sad. Carlson receives a pass on the right side of the blue line in the neutral zone. He takes the zone into the O-zone. Jeannot stays on him and skates with him on the inside. But he's already a step behind pretty quickly, and no one comes to help. Harris, the defenseman on that side, decides that he's going to play the wall in case Carlson decides to pass back, rather than take a direct line to the net and have Jeannot switch off if that pass back happens. Now, I understand the logic here. It's just not good logic. So Harris, the defenseman, takes himself out of the play. Jeannot gets easily beat. Carlson just goes right around him. Jokiharju standing in the net front, covering what he thought was going to be a passing play. I'm not blaming Jokiharju here. Carlson just gets to skate right in front of the crease. Swayman, wait out Swayman until Swayman has to make a move, gets down low, has an open net, flips it in at 6-3. Power play goal. These are self-inflicted mistakes. Like, that's just... First of all, why is everyone lined up on the blue line like that, allowing a player to do that? Why is the defenseman going, yeah, the forwards got it, and skating away from the play? It's just bad logic all around. And now you're down 3 goals. And it felt like this is it, okay? Is this going to end 8-4? Are we just going to roll over and die? No, we're not. 4:05 in. Face-off win in the left circle. Face-off win by Corrali, I should say. Kostelic strides in from the left side, goes far post and in at 6-4. This is a set play that the Bruins want to run as often as possible on that left side. I love it. And it's a great finish by Kostelic. And all of a sudden you go, okay, hold on. And then a minute and 7 seconds later, the third line, doing some work. But Vegas gets a clear. Lohrei is going to knock down this clear and initially look like he wants to throw it back into the zone. But a little bit of hesitation, realizes he has a play to make, pushes the puck to Eyssimont on the right side, just like Carlson was, on the right side of that blue line in the neutral zone. Eyssimont going to take the zone. He's got defensemen coming over from the middle. Eyssimont going to cut in as he's at the top of that left circle and launch this on net. It's a seeing eyes puck. It's 5-hole somehow on Schmid, and it's 6-5. And you're back in it, just like that. Did you get a little fortuitous? A little bad goaltending? A little good bounce? Yeah, sure. You're in the game. I don't give a shit why. You're in the game, and you haven't stopped pushing. 20 seconds later, a 3-on-2 play. Great play by Zadorov to make this happen. It gets the puck to Pasta on the left circle. He's got wide open opportunity to shoot, and he misses high. Oh, I was so into it. The rest of the game is going to go along, and there's going to be no more goals scored. There's going to be an annoying, geeky interference call late in the game that wasn't really interference. There's going to be some 2-on-1s. There's going to be some scoring opportunities. There's going to be some really bad plays by the McAvoy-Lohrei pair at times. But at the end of the day, Swayman stood tall, and then the Bruins just couldn't find another goal at any point. I'm not upset. I just can't be upset. This team's fighting. And this is the big game now. I got to read it because I wrote this with about 2 minutes left without the first line. But then I added the first line once we actually lost. So you've lost 2 in a row now, and you looked bad for a lot of this one. The top 6 got caved through most of the game. Your defense turned the puck over frequently. You couldn't break out of your own zone. The forwards couldn't create second chances frequently. You had bad turnovers. The forwards had bad turnovers, leading to odd man rushes for the opponent. Your goaltender gave up a few massive rebounds that ended the back of your net. You couldn't stay out of the box. Your power play had a chance to tie the game midway through the game and gave up a shorty instead. You allowed goals directly after scoring goals multiple times. And more importantly than any of that, your system broke down over and over and over again. The defense couldn't make the right play, couldn't find the outlets. And yet, this team didn't stop skating. They didn't stop hitting. They didn't stop working the boards. I had realistic expectations coming into the season. And I said, as long as this team fights back, I'd be happy. This team is fighting back. Every game. We know that we're going to have games where we are widely outclassed by pure talent on paper. We don't care. There is going to be a challenge for Marco Sturm. Because now you've lost 2 in a row. And the defense hasn't looked good. And blame can start getting pointed around, right? People can start blaming each other if they want to. Toxic nature builds up. It's only 2 losses. But people will look at it and go writing on the wall. The social media stuff will take off. Sturm has to keep everyone playing the system, getting better at the system, and believing in the system. I wouldn't say this is going to be your big challenge moment. You lose 1 or 2 more in a row, and then you're really looking at Sturm like, can you get this team to still commit to this? Like, is this going to start turning into the Wild West like it did last year and just falling apart left or right, or is everyone still bought in? And there's going to be a real challenge there. But this gets kind of exciting. Sturm gets to test his mettle pretty quickly. How does he hold players accountable? What changes does he make? Does he make any changes at all? Is that the right or the wrong decision? There's a lot to talk about here with this. And I genuinely am gaining respect more and more for these players and for this coaching staff, because even with all the bullshit, and even though there's going to be portions of the season that's going to be a long slog, and I know it, we all know it. Any team that's not like a cut above the rest, one of your top 4 teams, is going to go through portions of the season with losing streaks, with frustrations, with bad play. That's just reality. It doesn't even reflect on what this roster is. It's more so that's just the reality of hockey. But even with that, these players deserve our respect for the sheer effort, the consistent physicality, the consistent commitment to each other. There's not bad body language. They're not whining. They're fighting for what they can get. That is something I can respect, and that is something I will not stop respecting until it's no longer present. I know we want to win. I want to win. Some of you want to lose because you want them to tank. That's a different conversation. But this team's fighting. And early in the season, that's what I needed to see. This is some hell yeah Bruins. This was a gross game. It's also a wildly entertaining game. A couple other notes. A lot of this stuff was self-inflicted. I know good teams are going to force you to do that kind of thing. But one thing I've noticed that I mentioned earlier in the video, and it's been very prevalent in the 2 losses so far, is the Bruins continue to position themselves in a way that they have the expectation of the best case scenario. So what I mean by that is they're positioning themselves for a breakout rather than the defensive play if they don't come up with a puck. I'm talking like, if you're positioning yourself for a breakout while you guys have possession, totally get it. Yeah, obviously. But when there's 50-50 pucks out there, they position themselves for the breakout, not for the defensive play. They're overcommitting to a board battle win position-wise rather than being prepared if the puck goes the other way. And this means the players who are around the board battle, not the one actually partaking in it. It's just stuff like that doesn't really match the system that they're supposed to be playing, one that's defense first and then transitional attack. This has been, well, if this works out, I get to sprint down the ice. And I mean, that's what will result in 6 goals against. And it's not always, people like to try to nitpick just the transition defense and this and that. And it's easier to see that kind of stuff. But there are going to be moments, I kind of wish I'd stopped the game and took a couple of pictures of this stuff, but there are moments where you have guys who are positioning themselves quietly to go back up ice, like Arvidsson's like that. Arvidsson is obviously like that, though. But when you see Fraser Minten 4 feet this way rather than standing behind the pile, like, that's a difference of a second. And in hockey, a second matters. That's something worth considering and worth watching going forward. The only other thing I have here, as we cross the 30-minute threshold, Geeky got dropped from the top line about midway through this one, and I don't know which of this it is. And maybe Sturm has already answered this, but it is either due to Zaka's hot start and us needing to catch up in this game, which I think would be reasonable, or Geeky's subpar start, or the fact that the second line was getting fucking mollywopped the whole game. And the first line came back around. For a lot of the game, they were getting caved in, but they did come back around in the second half of the game. They were much more involved and starting to create some chances. But the second line was just getting smacked around. And it is possible that it was kind of a combination of factors where you go like, well, we got to save the second line here. They're giving up a lot of chances the other way. And maybe swapping Geeky and Zaka was a 2 birds, 1 stone situation. Something worth monitoring. Geeky started slow last year too. I'm not really worried about Geeky. The amount of high danger chances he's had, though, that he has not been able to capitalize on is hilarious, and I refuse to hear anything else about it. All right, that's all I've got. Gosh, that was an awesome game. At least it was entertaining and interesting, and it just leads to more things to talk about with this team. I'm not upset. I can't find a way to be upset about this. I loved the win, obviously. I really wanted that win, but this team does look way more interesting than I expected it to. And right now, that's a huge win. Huge win. Go Bees. Go Bees! Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video and joining me as we experience this crazy Bruins season together. The names popping up on your screen now are from the top line tier and the all-star tier of the YouTube membership program for this YouTube channel. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you who help support the channel so that we can do more fun things, and I am always open to more ideas of how I can help give back to those who support the channel. At the end of the day, this channel is always going to be about the community, and I want to continue to grow that way, so please always feel free to reach out with new ideas and fun ways we can expand on this, or if you just need someone to talk to, I'm always here for you guys. Thank you all for your support, and as always, go Bees!